The Fredericton Police Force is responsible for responding to calls made by members of Sidanskus First Nation. But which laws they're willing to act on remains a point of contention between the police and leaders within the community.
All First Nations, their band council government can create bylaws that have to be adhered by the citizens of the community of Sidanskus of St. Mary's. We need the Fredericton City Police to police those bylaws, to ensure that they enforce them onto, of course, citizens and visitors that come into our community.
Some of those bylaws are aimed at addressing issues related to housing, business, and general public safety. Crucial for Sidanskus are bylaws that would ban non-members who have been deemed undesirable by Chief and Council. However, Fredericton Police refuse to enforce those.
Well, it will solve all kinds of issues. If they're, if there are delinquents coming in, if they're, if they're being disorderly, if they're, bringing toxics into our community, we get rid of them.
Wolastoqey communities in New Brunswick have raised the issue of police refusing to enforce their band council bylaws in the past. The RCMP have said they can't enforce them as they're required to work within their legal authority. According to Fredericton Police, neither do they believe they have jurisdiction to enforce them.
Oftentimes, or there have been times, I should say, that we've responded to community when we haven't been able to do exactly what the community wanted, and only that's because we didn't have the jurisdiction or authority to do that.
Naomi Metalik is a professor at Dalhousie University's Schulich School of Law. She says band council bylaws are legitimate pieces of legislation and should be enforceable by police. But she says the province or the federal government need to implement a framework for how offenses are to be prosecuted.
It could be prosecuted by the federal crown. It could be prosecuted by the provincial crown. It could go to be heard in provincial court. And these are all things that haven't happened and that should have been happening.
Polchis says the provincial government plans to launch a pilot project that would see band council bylaws enforced in Sidanskus. He says if it proves successful, it could be expanded to other First Nation communities. CBC News asked the Department of Justice and Public Safety for details about those plans. In an email, the department said only that it is exploring viable options that would see those bylaws enforced and prosecuted.